Welcome, everybody, to this week's edition of Valpo Athletics Weekly. It's presented by Lakeshore Bone and Joint Institute. Brandon Vickery with you. Glad to be joined by the head coach of the Valpo track and field and cross country programs, the director of track and field and cross country. That is Vincent Walker, as we talk about Valpo track and field program, which is getting ready for the outdoor championships right around the corner. Let's start with someone who had success at the indoor championships, and that's Micah Mullings in the jumps, 2 podium finishes at the indoor finals. What's made him such a special athlete for you?
Yeah, for him, I think it's his ability to just stay neutral, right? Anyone that knows him, we like to kind of joke that he's the guy that when he's not competing, he's right there at camp, headphones on, sleeping, resting up, ready for those big jumps, right? So I think his ability to just kind of stay neutral, a good day, bad day, he knows it, not to take it too serious. And, he's right back to work that next day. So I think that's just a really cool character trait he has.
Let's talk about your distance group, Vinny, led by Evan Walda in the 5,000. He's coming off a program record, and he's put together kind of a historic season with numerous records. What can you say about Evan, and what can you say about your men's distance group as a whole going into the MVC championship?
Yeah, one just start with Evan. I mean, he's just such a determined guy, right? Last year, as we kind of finished up the year, we had some big breakout performances in that distance group, but for him, it just kind of wasn't enough, right? And we talked about, hey, what can we do over the summer that's going to set us up to kind of accomplish some of these big goals? And he kind of told me at the end of outdoor MVCs that he was like, look, like next year when we're here, like it's going to be a different story. He scored in the 10K, but for him, like he wants to be on the podium. He wants to win a title, right? And as a coach, that's not something you can like coach, right? You can't just put desire in someone. And it's been really exciting to see all his kind of hard work kind of stack up and know that he's always after each race, good or bad, like just setting that school record in the 5K. It was like, all right, that's good, but like I know I can do more, right? He's the first guy to say, hey, I maybe messed up right here. The race kind of slowed and no one wanted to take it. I know I can, cut a couple seconds out there. So I think he's certainly someone to keep your eye on as we go into the outdoor championship because he's coming full force and ready to kind of put the valley on warning, right? Um, and then with just the distance group in general, it's kind of a mixed bag for us right now on the men's side because we have those kind of veterans and then we're really, really young, right? We brought in a strong recruiting class last year and it'll be fun to see how those guys kind of rise to the occasion. I mean, Noah Meacham has done a phenomenal job of just learning what it's like to compete at the collegiate level and how to handle training and how to handle himself on race day. I think early in his career, that was something he kind of struggled with and now he's starting to put it together. So he's someone who you should certainly keep your eye on as well, and certainly can't overlook Simeon too. I think it's fun to see all the success Evans had, but Simeon's been right there, with them the whole way, and I think those two guys just kind of feed off of each other, right? In a really friendly way. It's easy to get caught up with kind of that inner competition, but both those guys just want the best for each other, and I think what's led to a lot of their success is it's cool to have the individual accolades, but they're running for something bigger than themselves. And they've been here long enough to know that, we have historically finished kind of the bottom of the valley and they want to change that, right? And because of the success they've had, it's kind of helped us continue to climb the ladder.
Seems like Ethan Lidovitz has taken some steps forward in the javelin. As we talk throws, Nate Smith and Will Rinker have been toward the top for you on the men's side. And then Tori Gerhart has been steady over the years on the women's side. And what can you tell us about the throws as we enter the conference championship?
Yeah, honestly, the throws group right now is, in my opinion, probably one of the most exciting parts because we've just had so much success, right? Tori was coming off of a great indoor season where she's one of our first female athletes to score in the indoor championships in quite some time. So she had some really good momentum and, she sees herself as a hammer thrower, right? To have that success in the weight, but no, the hammer is kind of her best event is something really exciting. And she's been training really well and should hopefully be right where we want her to be come the championship. And then Ethan, I mean, his story is just awesome. When I got here, he was a decathlete doing his first decathlon and ended up actually getting injured kind of last fall last fall and tore his ACL and kind of knew that doing 10 events may not be kind of the best route, right? But he had some success in javelin and kind of decided to go all in on that and has had almost, I think, like a 10-meter PR from when he first threw the decathlon or threw the javelin in the decathlon his freshman year to now just doing it in the open and has now put himself kind of in a podium spot. and know that some of his big throws are either fouls or we've had some strong wins that kind of took the javelin a different way. And we know that he's a guy who, is certainly trying to reach for that title, and it's not just content to be third at the Valley, but wants to be in that first or second spot. And then Will and Nate have just been awesome, right? I think seeing Will's growth this last year has been huge. He's a guy who all the time I see coming in and out of the office, back and forth through the weight room, out, practicing his throws and doing all the technical stuff. And he's certainly put in all the hard work, and definitely has earned all the success he's had. And then Nate, we always like to say it's so different with him being kind of his first year of collegiate track. He's throwing the implements farther at the collegiate level than he was high school, and those weights and stuff are a little bit lighter. So for him to already have kind of hit that benchmark in his first year is really exciting.
In sprints, Tim Whitelaw has had several PRs of late on the women's side. Juliana Ferrara, Taylor Pusateri have had some good marks over the course of the year. Maybe what have you seen out of the sprints and your hope for that group going into conference?
Yeah, I think that goes back to just how young we are, and that's what's exciting, right? Tim has never ran track and field in his life. He was a football manager for a while and kind of saw us out practicing and was like, "Hey, I kind of think we could do that," right? And as a coach, you kind of hear that and you're like, "Okay, bud, like let's take it easy. Like this isn't as easy as it looks." And to his credit, he has made it look easy, right? To be able to come and run 1079 and have never have any background and it is great. And, first off, I got to give my hats off to Coach Overbo, right? I mean, he's the first track coach Tim has had. So all the habits that he's formed have been what we expect at the collegiate level, right? So Tim hasn't had any opportunity to kind of form bad habits. And he's just every time he steps on the track, he's having fun with it. And I think that's the biggest thing is we put so much of our identity into our times and our marks and the distance we have that, it makes the highs high and the lows low. Tim's just out there having fun. Like he only knows what he knows, and he knows when he steps on the track, like he just wants to be the fastest guy to the finish line. And that's been really cool to see. And same with Juliana, like she's kind of come in, and it was funny. I originally tried to get her to run cross country. She's a great distance runner in high school, but kind of was like, I just really enjoy more of the long sprint kind of stuff. And since being here has kind of done some of the shorter sprints as well. But it seems like every time she's on the track, it's just like PR after PR after PR. So with that young group, I look forward to seeing where they go, especially as we continue to develop them and then bring in stronger recruits as well.
Let's talk about this point in the calendar. What do you need to do between now and the MVC championships to be ready to go for that weekend? And kind of what does this next week and a half, 2 weeks look like for your program?
Yeah, it's so different with our sport because you just have all the different event areas, right? Some people need a little bit different things, and it's not a cookie cutter, and not that most sports are, but for us, we have to really look at kind of the individual and see what do you need as you get ready to kind of taper. I think the biggest thing for us is just staying healthy. Right. We can continue to train at a high level and do that. But when we get to the end of the season, when our athletes have been training since August and the distance group has been running since last June with very little downtime between, we get to the end of the season and bodies just start to get beat up. We start to get a little bit more broken down. School's getting tougher with finals and graduation. So one, making sure we're just staying locked into the task at hand, staying healthy and just being consistent, right? We don't want to have a roller coaster with training, but if we can kind of stay neutral and locked in, I think we're going to really blow the doors down at MVCs.
There he is, the head coach of the Valpo track and field and cross country programs, Vincent Walker. His program will compete at the MVC Outdoor Championships starting on Friday, May the 10th in Terre Haute, hosted by Indiana State. Head on over to support the team, or if not, you can follow along by watching a stream on ESPN Plus. We'll talk to you again next time on Valpo Athletics Weekly, presented by Lakeshore Bone and Joint Institute.